The fountain pen felt cold in my hand. Heavy, expensive, the kind you'd buy for a milestone, for something that mattered. I turned it over, saw the engraving, letters etched into silver that made my blood run cold. Sophie Chen, 2025. My daughter's name, my missing daughter's name, on a fountain pen, on my sister's desk, in my sister's office. 6 months after Sophie disappeared, 6 months after my world ended, 6 months after every police search came up empty, 6 months after I'd cried myself to sleep every night wondering if I'd ever see my baby again, and here was her name, engraved on a pen, on Rachel's desk, my sister. My only sibling, the woman who'd held my hand at Sophie's birth, who'd been there for every birthday, every milestone, every moment, the woman I'd trusted with everything. I picked up the pen, hands shaking, heart racing. It was heavier than it should be, not just metal, something else, something inside. I twisted the cap, heard a click, not from the pen, from somewhere else, from the wall behind Rachel's bookshelf. The bookshelf moved, actually moved, sliding sideways on a track I hadn't noticed, revealing a door, a steel door, with a keypad, with a handle, with a sign that said private storage, authorized personnel only. I stood up, walked to the door, every instinct screaming at me to run, to call someone, to get help, but my feet moved forward anyway, toward the door, toward whatever was behind it, toward the truth I wasn't sure I wanted tea. Oh, fine. The door wasn't locked. The pen had unlocked it. Some kind of mechanism, some kind of security system. I pushed it open, saw stairs, going down, into darkness, into a basement I didn't know existed, in an office building that shouldn't have basements. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, started down the stairs, one at a time, slowly, carefully. Each step echoing in the silence, each step taking me deeper, deeper into whatever Rachel had been hiding, whatever secret my sister had kept from me for 6 months. The stairs ended at another door. This one had a simple deadbolt, no keypad, no security. Like once you got past the first door, the second was just for show. I turned the bolt, pushed the door open, and I saw her, Sophie, my daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, my baby, my everything, sitting on a bed in a small windowless room, looking at me with eyes I'd seen in my dreams every night for 6 months. Eyes I thought I'd never see again. Eyes that held confusion and fear and hope and disbelief all at once. She was so thin, her cheeks hollow, her collarbones visible through the t-shirt she wore. T-shirt I didn't recognize, light blue with cartoon characters I'd never seen her wear. Her arms were like sticks, her legs too small, like she'd been shrinking, disappearing, fading away in this room while I searched the world for her. Her hair was longer, past her shoulders now. It had been chin length when she disappeared. 6 months of growth, unwash. Detangled, matted in places. Rachel had been keeping her alive but not keeping her groomed, not maintaining her, just existing, just surviving. Her skin was pale, paper white, no sun exposure, no outdoor time, no fresh air or vitamin D or anything a growing child needs. She looked like a ghost, like she'd been living in darkness, which she had been, living in this underground room with no windows, no natural light, no connection to the world above. Mommy. That word, that voice, that tiny uncertain voice that broke something in my chest, made my heart split open, made 6 months of grief and fear and desperation come crashing down all at once. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except move toward her, run to her, close the distance between us. I dropped to my knees in front of the bed, reached for her, pulled her into my arms, felt her tiny body against mine, so light, too light, like she weighed nothing. Like she'd been fading away, disappearing even while staying alive. My baby, my Sophie, my daughter was in my arms. Really here, really alive, really real. She was stiff at first, uncertain, like she didn't know if this was real, if I was real, if this was another dream, or hallucination, or trick. Her mind was playing after 6 months of isolation. Then she felt me, smelled me, recognized me, and she collapsed, just melted into me, wrapped her thin arms around my neck, buried her face in my shoulder and started sobbing. Mommy, 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 Ovi. And over. Like she couldn't believe it. Couldn't process that I was really there. That I'd found her. That the 6 months of waiting were over. That Aunt Rachel's promises about me getting better were finally coming true. That her mother had come back. I was crying too. Uncontrollable sobbing that came from somewhere deep. From the part of me that had been broken for 6 months. The part that thought Sophie was dead. The part that had been preparing to never hold her again, never hear her voice, never see her smile, never be her mother. That part was healing, painfully, violently, like bones that had been fractured suddenly snapping back into place. Sophie, baby, oh my God, Sophie, I'm here. I found you. You're safe now, you're safe. We stayed like that, minutes, hours, time didn't exist. Nothing existed except my daughter in my arms. The daughter I'd lost, the daughter I'd found, the daughter who was alive and real and here. Everything else faded. The room, the situation, the horror of where we were. Just Sophie and me, together. Finally, when I could finally speak without sobbing, without choking on words, without breaking apart. I pulled back, looked at her face, really looked, studied every feature, every detail, looking for injuries, for signs of abuse, for anything that would tell me how bad this had been. Her eyes were sunken, dark circles underneath, like she hadn't been sleeping well. Or sleeping too much, hard to tell. Her lips were dry, cracked, dehydrate. Her teeth visible through slightly parted lips. Still missing that front tooth, the one that had fallen out 2 weeks before she disappeared. The permanent one hadn't grown in yet. Would it? Would 6 months of malnutrition affect her development, her growth, her future? Are you okay? Did she hurt you? Are you hurt anywhere? My hands were shaking, checking her arms, her legs, her back, her head, looking for bruises, for cuts, for scars, for anything that would indicate physical abuse. There was nothing, no marks, no injuries. Rachel hadn't beaten her, hadn't broken bones, hadn't physically harmed her, just imprisoned her, just stole 6 months of her childhood, just traumatized her in ways that wouldn't leave visible scars. I'm okay, Mommy. I'm okay. Aunt Rachel takes care of me. She brings food 3 times a day. She checks to make sure I'm not sick. She brings books and movies. She says I have to stay here until you get better, until the doctors say you're not sick anymore. She says you're in the hospital, that you can't take care of me right now, that I need to be patient, that you'll come get me when you're better. Every word was a knife. Every sentence revealed more of Rachel's deception, more of her lies, more of how she'd manipulated my daughter, made her believe I'd abandoned her, made her think staying in this room was necessary, was for her own good, was protecting her from something worse. Sophie, I'm not sick. I've never been sick. I've been looking or you every single day since you disappeared. The police have been looking for you. Everyone has been looking for you. Thousands of people. Aunt Rachel took you. She took you from school and brought you here. She's been lying to you. I didn't abandon you. I've been searching for you. Sophie's face changed, the confusion deepening, the fear growing, the foundation of her 6-month reality cracking. But she said, she showed me pictures of you in the hospital. She said you were sick, that you couldn't see me, that it would make you worse if I tried to visit. She said I had to stay here, to keep you safe. Pictures. Rachel had fabricated pictures, staged evidence, created a false narrative sophisticated enough to fool a 9-year-old who trusted her aunt, who believed adults told the truth, who had no reason to doubt. I felt rage building, pure hatred for my sister, for what she'd done, for how elaborate the deception was, for how much planning this took, how much premeditation, how much pure evil. She lied, baby, all of it, every word. I don't know why, but she lied. I've been looking for you every single day. I never stopped. I never gave up. I knew you were alive. I could feel it, and I was right. I found you, and I'm taking you home. Right now, before we go any further, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on that notification bell. We share real stories about family, betrayal, and the moment everything changes. Like this vid. EO and drop your location in the comments. Now let's start. My name is Catherine Chen. I'm 38 years old, and 6 months ago my 9-year-old daughter Sophie disappeared from her school playground. Today I found her in a secret room under my sister's office, and I'm about to learn why. Hi viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. I need to explain how I got here. How I ended up in my sister's office, how I found that pen, how I discovered the room, how my sister became the person who'd steal my child. Sophie disappeared on September 15th, 2025. It was a Tuesday, sunny, beautiful, the kind of day where nothing bad should happen. She was at school, Lincoln Elementary, 4th grade, playing at recess. I'd dropped her off that morning, kissed her goodbye, told her I'd see her at pickup. Normal Tuesday morning routine, nothing special, nothing different, but at 3:15 p.m. when I showed up to get her, she wasn't there. The teacher said she'd been playing on the swings. Then she wasn't. They'd looked everywhere, called her name, searched the playground, the building, the parking lot, nothing. Sophie was gone. I called 911 immediately. Police came, interviewed everyone, teachers, students, parents. Nobody saw anything, nobody heard anything. Sophie had been on the swings, then she disappeared, like she'd never existed. The police suspected kidnapping. Amber Alert went out. Sophie's face was on every news channel, every website, every social media platform. My beautiful daughter, with her black hair and brown eyes and missing tooth, smiling in her school photo, looking at the camera like she had her whole life ahead of her. I was interrogated for hours. Was I involved? Did I have custody disputes with her father? Was there anyone who'd want to take her? No. Sophie's father wasn't in the picture. He'd left when I was pregnant, signed away his rights, never wanted to be a parent. It was just me and Sophie, always had been. Just us against the world. My sister Rachel was there for everything, the police interviews, the search parties, the press conferences. She held my hand while I begged whoever took Sophie to bring her back. She stayed at my apartment so I wouldn't be alone. She organized volunteers, made posters, called in tips. She was my rock, my support system, the only person keeping me sane. The investigation went nowhere. No witnesses, no evidence, no leads. Sophie had vanished into thin air. Police said she was likely taken by someone who knew the school, someone who knew the schedule, someone familiar with the routines, someone who'd been watching, waiting, planning, someone close. They questioned everyone in my life, every friend, every coworker, every family member, my neighbors, Sophie's teachers, the school janitor, the crossing guard, the parents of Sophie's classmates, Rachel, everyone. They cleared everyone. No suspicious activity, no red flags, no criminal records, no motive, no opportunity that didn't have an alibi. Sophie had simply disappeared into thin air, and nobody had any idea where she was or who took her. I took a leave from my job at Morrison Tech. I was a senior marketing executive, 6-figure salary, stock options, corner office, path to VP. I'd worked 15 years to get there. Climbed every rung, sacrificed weekends and evenings, missed Sophie's school events sometimes because of client emergencies. Felt guilty about it constantly, but told myself I was providing for her, giving her opportunities, building a future. None of it mattered anymore. All meaningless. Empty. I called my boss, told him I needed indefinite leave. He approved immediately, said my job would be waiting whenever I was ready, told me everyone at the company was praying for Sophie, hoping for her safe return. I thanked him and hung up, didn't care about the job, about the promotion I was being considered for, about the client presentation I was supposed to deliver next month, only cared about finding Sophie. I spent every waking hour searching. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., print fresh flyers, drive to different neighborhoods, walk streets, tape posters to telephone poles, to store windows, to bus stops, anywhere people might see Sophie's face, might remember seeing her, might have information. Sophie's face was everywhere. Her school photo, the one from picture day in August. She was wearing her favorite purple sweater, hair pulled back in a ponytail, missing front tooth, visible in her big smile. She looked so happy, so innocent, so alive. That photo haunted me, reminded me of everything I'd lost, everything I might never get back. I joined search parties. Every weekend, groups of volunteers combing parks, woods, abandoned buildings, anywhere a child might be hidden, anywhere a body might be dumped. I hated thinking that way, hated imagining Sophie dead. But by week 3, the police had started preparing me for that possibility, started talking about recovery instead of rescue, started using past tense when referring to Sophie. She was a beautiful girl. She was lucky to have you as a mother. I refused to accept it, refused to give up hope. Sophie was alive. I could feel it. Mother's intuition. That connection that never breaks no matter how far apart you are. She was out there somewhere, scared, confused, wondering why I hadn't come for her yet, waiting for me to find her. And I would find her. I had to. Rachel was my constant support, my rock, my lifeline. She'd take vacation days from Chen Development to help with search parties. She'd organize volunteers, create schedules, coordinate efforts. She was naturally good at logistics, at project management, at making things happen. Skills that served her well in real estate development. Skills she now used to find Sophie. She hired private investigators, 3 of them. Spent over $100,000 of her own money, had them follow every lead, interview every person, check every database. They on nothing. But they kept looking, kept billing, kept promising they were getting closer. Rachel paid every invoice without complaint. She offered a reward, $500,000 for information leading to Sophie's safe return, posted it everywhere. News channels picked it up. Social media exploded with shares. Thousands of tips came in. Police followed up on every single one, every reported sighting, every claim of seeing a girl matching Sophie's description, every conspiracy theory about trafficking rings and underground networks. Nothing panned out, all dead ends, all false hopes. Month 2 was when I started breaking, when hope began transforming into despair, when reality started setting in, when I began accepting that Sophie might be dead, that whoever took her might have killed her, that I might never know what happened, might spend the rest of my life wondering, searching, never having closure. I stopped eating, couldn't stomach food. Everything tasted like ash, like failure, like the mother who couldn't protect her daughter. I lost 25 pounds in 6 weeks, looked hollow, empty, like a ghost of myself. People stopped recognizing me. Sophie's school called worried, asked if I needed help, offered counseling, support groups, resources. I thanked them and hung up, didn't want support, wanted my daughter. Rachel forced me to eat, would show up at my apartment with food, sit with me, make me take bites. 1 spoonful at a time, like feeding a child. She'd stay until I finish. Until she was sure I'd gotten enough nutrition to survive another day. She saved my life those months, kept me alive when I wanted to die. When losing Sophie felt like losing everything, when existing felt pointless. Month 3, the police started pulling back resources, said they'd exhausted all leads, would keep the case open, would follow up on any new information. But active searching was ending. They had other cases, other missing children, other families who needed help. Sophie was becoming a cold case, a statistic, a file in a cabinet that nobody would look at unless something new emerged. I protested, begged them to keep looking, reminded them Sophie was still missing, still out there, still needing to be found. The detective in charge, Detective Yang, was sympathetic but firm. Ms. Chen, we've done everything we can. We've interviewed hundreds of people, followed thousands of tips, searched every location, used every resource. Without new evidence, there's nothing more we can do. I'm sorry. Rachel hired more private investigators, different ones, better ones. Former FBI, former detectives, people with connections, people who could access databases the first investigators couldn't. People who cost $500 an hour plus expenses. She paid without hesitation. Said money meant nothing if Sophie was still missing. Said she'd spend everything she had if it brought Sophie home. The new investigators found nothing new. Same dead ends, same lack of evidence, same frustrat. Absence of any trail to follow. It was like Sophie had been erased from existence, taken by someone who knew exactly how to avoid leaving traces, how to disappear without creating evidence, how to make a 9-year-old vanish without anyone seeing anything. Month 4, I started therapy. Rachel insisted. Found me a grief counselor who specialized in traumatic loss. Dr. Martinez, kind woman, patient. Let me cry, let me rage, let me sit in silence when I couldn't find words. She taught me coping mechanisms, breathing exercises, mindfulness, ways to function when functioning felt impossible. She asked about Sophie's father, about why he wasn't involved. I told her he'd signed away his rights before Sophie was born, wanted nothing to do with parenthood, paid child support for 6 months, then disappeared, changed his number, moved away, became unreachable. I'd raised Sophie alone, just the 2 of us. No family support except Rachel, no partner to share the burden, no backup when things got hard. Dr. Martinez asked if Sophie's father could be involved in the disappearance, if he might have taken her, changed his mind about wanting to be a parent, decided to steal the daughter he'd abandoned. I said no, impossible. He'd been investigated, cleared, had an alibi, was living in Oregon with a new wife and new kids, had moved on completely, had no interest in Sophie. Never had. Month 5, I started accepting, not accepting Sophie was dead, accepting I might never know what happened. That this might be my life now. Living in limbo. In the space between hope and grief, between searching and surrendering, between believing Sophie was alive and preparing for her to be dead. I went back to work part-time, needed structure, routine, something to fill the hours besides searching, besides sitting in Sophie's room crying, besides looking at photos and wondering when the last time I'd told her I loved her. Morrison Tech welcomed me back, reduced schedule, limited responsibilities, just enough to keep me connected, keep me employed, keep me insured, keep me functional. Rachel was proud of me, said going back to work was brave, was progress, was moving forward. She'd check in every day, text every morning, call every night, Ask how I was doing, what I needed, if I'd eaten, if I'd slept, if I was okay, always checking, always caring, always being the sister I needed, the sister who kept me alive when living felt pointless. Month 6 arrived, March 15th, 2026. 6 months exactly since Sophie disappeared, the longest 6 months of my life. The worst 6 months imaginable. 6 months of searching and grieving and hoping and breaking. 6 months of becoming someone I didn't recognize. Someone haunted, someone destroyed, someone barely holding on. The police called that morning, asked if I wanted to do a press conference, mark the 6-month anniversary, make a public plea, remind people Sophie was still missing, still needed to be found, still mattered. I said yes. Anything to keep Sophie's face public, keep her story alive, keep someone somewhere thinking about where she might be. Rachel came to the press conference, stood beside me, held my hand while I spoke, while I begged whoever took Sophie to let her go, while I promised no prosecution if they just brought her home, while I cried on camera for the 1,000th time, while news crews filmed my breakdown, while reporters asked insensitive questions about whether I still believed Sophie was alive. After the press conference, I was drained, empty, exhausted from 6 months of trauma compressed into 30 minutes of public grief. Rachel suggested lunch, said we should eat, should take a break, should try to have one normal moment, 1 hour where Sophie's disappearance wasn't the only thing in the world. I agreed. We drove downtown, toward Morrison Building, Rachel's office. She said there was a good restaurant nearby, new place, great reviews. We'd try it, have lunch, talk about something else, anything else. Just be sisters for an hour, just be human, just be alive. Her office was in the Morrison Building, downtown, 10-story structure she'd developed, ground floor retail, upper floors commercial offices. Her company, Chen Development, occupied the entire second floor. But her personal office was on the ground floor. Private entrance, separate from the main company space, where she met with important clients, where she handled sensitive deals. I'd been there before, many times. Beautiful office, modern, sleek, floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive furniture, success on display. Rachel had worked hard for everything she had, built her company from nothing, made millions, earned respect. She deserved all of it. The receptionist wasn't at her desk when I arrived. Lunch break, probably. It was 12:30 p.m., middle of the day. I knew where Rachel's office was. Walked there directly, knocked, no answer. Door was unlocked. I went in. The office was empty. Rachel's coat was on the rack, her purse on the desk, her computer on. But no Rachel. Maybe in the bathroom, maybe on a call, maybe stepped out for a moment. I decided to wait. That's when I saw the pen, on her desk, next to a stack of contracts, silver, engraved, catching the light from the window. I walked over, looked closer, saw the name. Sophie Chen, 2025. My heart stopped. My breath caught. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Why did Rachel have a pen with Sophie's name? Why was it on her desk? Why did it say 2025? This year. The year Sophie disappeared. I picked it up, turned it over, felt the weight, too heavy, something inside rattling, something that shouldn't be there. I twisted the cap, clockwise, heard a click, not from the pen, from across the room, from the bookshelf behind her desk. The bookshelf moved, slid sideways, revealed the steel door. The door I'd just gone through, the door that led to Sophie, to my daughter, to 6 months of answers I didn't know I needed. And now I was here, holding Sophie, in this room, under Rachel's office, understanding slowly dawning, horrifying understanding of what my sister had done, of who my sister really was, of the nightmare I'd been living. Sophie, has anyone else been here? Has Aunt Rachel been down here? She comes every day, morning and night. She brings food. She has a schedule on the wall. She checks things off. She says, I have to stay here until you're better. She says the doctors said so. Show me. Sophie led me to the wall. There was a chart, laminated, with dates, with checkboxes. Breakfast 8 a.m., check. Lunch 12 p.m., not checked yet. Dinner 6 p.m., medical check 7 p.m., night routine 8 p.m. every day for 6 months. Rachel had been keeping my daughter on a schedule, like she was caring for her, like this was normal, like this was okay. I looked around the room, really looked. It wasn't a dungeon, wasn't a prison cell. It was set up like a bedroom. Twin bed, dresser, desk, lamp, books, toys, even a small TV with DVDs. Rachel had made this comfortable, had made this livable. Like Sophie was supposed to be here, like this was her home now. But there was no bathroom, no kitchen, no windows, just one room. With one door, that locked from the outside, that Sophie couldn't open, that kept her here, trapped, For 6 months, while I'd been searching, while I'd been dying inside, while Rachel had been pretending to help me look for the daughter she'd hidden. Mommy, are you really okay? You're not sick? I knelt down, looked Sophie in the eyes. I'm not sick, baby. I've never been sick. Aunt Rachel lied to you. She took you from school. She's been keeping you here. I don't know why, but I'm getting you out of here right now. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, voice shaking, hands trembling. This is Catherine Chen. I'm calling to report that I found my daughter, Sophie Chen. She was reported missing 6 months ago. She's alive. She's at the Morrison Building, 450 Market Street, ground floor, in a hidden room under my sister's office. Please send police immediately. The operator asked questions. I answered. Location, condition, immediate danger. I told her everything. Told her Sophie seemed okay. Told her she'd been held by my sister. Told her we were safe for now but needed help immediately. Police are on their way, ma'am. Stay on the line. Don't leave the location. Don't let anyone in. Officers will be there in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I could do 3 minutes. I stayed on the phone, held Sophie, waited, every second feeling like an hour, every sound making me jump. Was Rachel coming back? Would she see the open bookshelf? Would she realize I'd found Sophie? Would she try to stop me? I heard sirens, multiple sirens, police cars pulling up outside, voices, footsteps. Ms. Chen, Catherine Chen, this is Officer Rodriguez with SFPD. Where are you? Down here, in the basement, through the office. The bookshelf is open. Officers came down the stairs. 3 of them, guns drawn, professional, alert. They saw Sophie, saw me, saw the room. One officer immediately radioed for backup, for detectives, for child services, for everyone who needed to be here. Ms. Chen, I need you to come upstairs with Sophie. This is now a crime scene. We need to secure it, preserve evidence. Detective Yang is on her way. She'll take your statement. We went upstairs. Sophie held my hand tight, so tight, like she was afraid I'd disappear if she let go. Like these 6 months had taught her that nothing was permanent, that people she loved could vanish, even mommies. More police arrived, detectives, crime scene techs, a social worker, an EMT to check Sophie. They took photos, collected evidence, processed the secret room, the pen, the schedule, everything. Detective Yang interviewed me. I told her everything about Sophie's disappearance, about coming to Rachel's office, about finding the pen, about discovering the room, about Sophie saying Rachel had been keeping her here, telling her I was sick, that she was protecting her. Where is your sister now? I don't know. She wasn't here when I arrived. Her coat and purse are here, but she wasn't. We've put out a bolo. Be on the lookout. All units are searching. We'll find her. They did find her. 30 minutes later, Rachel walked into her office building, saw the police cars, saw the activity, tried to run. Officers caught her, arrested her, handcuffed her, read her rights. She didn't resist. Didn't fight. Just looked at me with eyes I didn't recognize. Eyes that were empty, cold, like the sister I'd known had never existed. Catherine, please, I can explain. I was protecting her. I was keeping her safe. Safe? You kidnapped my daughter. You let me think she was dead. You helped me search for her while you had her locked in your basement. You're sick. You don't understand. You were going to lose her. They were going to take her from you. I saved her. Who was going to take her? What are you talking about? Child services. They were investigating you. Someone reported you for neglect. They were building a case. They were going to take Sophie away. I couldn't let that happen. So I took her first. I kept her safe. I was protecting her from them. From losing you, my mind reeled. Child services? Investigation? I'd never heard about any investigation, never received any notice, never been contacted. Was Rachel delusional? Was she lying? Was this real? Detective Yang stepped in. Ms. Chen will investigate these claims, but regardless of whether there was an investigation, kidnapping is a serious crime. You'll be charged. You'll be prosecuted. You'll face the consequences of what you've done. They took Rachel away, put her in the police car, drove her to the station, to booking, to jail, where she'd wait for arraignment, for bail hearing, for trial, where she'd answer for 6 months of hell, 6 months of stealing my child, 6 months of destroying my life. Heil pretending to help put it back together. The social worker talked to Sophie, asked questions, checked for abuse, for signs of trauma, for physical harm. Sophie was underweight, vitamin deficient, needed dental work, but not abused, not beaten, not molested. Rachel had kept her alive, kept her fed, kept her occupied, but kept her prisoner, kept her from me, kept her from her life. They took us to the hospital, both of us, for full medical exams, for documentation, for evidence. Sophie was admitted overnight. for observation, for IV fluids, for nutrition, for starting the process of putting weight back on her tiny frame. I stayed with her, refused to leave, slept in the chair next to her bed, held her hand while she slept, watched her breathe, confirmed every moment that she was real, that I'd found her, that this nightmare was over. The next days were chaos. Police interviews, depositions, medical appointments, therapy sessions, media attention. Everyone wanted to know about the girl who'd been found after 6 months, about the sister who'd kept her, about the secret room, about everything. The story came out slowly, through Rachel's statements, through police interviews, through evidence they recovered from her apartment, through emails and journal entries and therapy records. Through piecing together 6 months of elaborate deception and years of building resentment and desperation, Rachel had been struggling with infertility for 8 years. Since she was 34. She'd wanted children her entire adult life, had always imagined herself as a mother, had decorated a nursery in her condo before she even started trying, had names picked out, had dreams about bedtime stories and school plays and graduation ceremonies, had built her entire identity around becoming a mother someday. But someday never came. She'd started with her OB/GYN, standard fertility workup, tests, monitoring, timed intercourse, 3 months of trying naturally with tracking and optimization. Nothing. Then Clomid, 6 cycles, nothing. Then injectable hormones, 4 cycles. 1 chemical pregnancy that miscarried at 5 weeks, then nothing. Then came IVF, in vitro fertilization, the gold standard, the treatment that worked for everyone, that gave people babies when nothing else did. Rachel spent $75,000 on 4 rounds, 4 cycles of hormone injections and egg retrievals and embryo transfers, 4 cycles of hope and waiting and devastating negative pregnancy tests, 4 cycles of failure. The doctors couldn't find anything specifically wrong. Her ovaries worked, her eggs were decent quality, her uterus was normal, no endometriosis, no fibroids, no blocked tubes, no male factor since she was using donor sperm. Just nothing worked. Unexplained infertility, the most frustrating diagnosis, the one with no solution, the one that just meant your body refused to create life for no identifiable reason. She tried alternative methods, acupuncture, Chinese herbs, diet changes, supplements, meditation, yoga, energy healing, anything anyone suggested, spent thousands more, traveled to specialists in other states, saw the best doctors, paid for experimental treatments not covered by insurance. Nothing worked, nothing changed, nothing gave her the baby she desperately wanted. Then she explored adoption, spent 2 years working with agencies, completing home studies, creating family profiles, waiting, hoping, getting matched with birth mothers who changed their minds, getting matched with situations that fell through, getting close 3 times, 3 times having a nursery ready, having a name chosen, having flights booked to go pick up a baby, 3 times having it collapse, having the adoption fail, having her dreams shattered again. By year 7, Rachel was becoming obsessed. Therapy notes showed escalating fixation on becoming a mother, declining mental health, increasing isolation from friends who had children, resentment toward pregnant women, anger at the universe for denying her what seemed so easy for everyone else, depression that wouldn't respond to medication, anxiety that kept her awake at night. Her therapist, Dr. Morrison, noted concerns, wrote that Rachel was experiencing significant psychological distress related to infertility and showing signs of complicated grief and possible delusional thinking regarding future parenthood. Dr. Morrison recommended psychiatric evaluation. Rachel refused, stopped attending therapy. She didn't need help, said she was fine, said she'd find another way. That's when she started focusing on Sophie. Rachel had always been a good aunt, involved in Sophie's life, present for birthdays and holidays and special events. She'd babysit when I worked late. She'd take Sophie to movies and museums and fun outings. She was Aunt Rachel, the fun aunt, the cool aunt, the aunt who gave good presents and never said no to ice cream. But around Sophie's 7th birthday, about 2 years ago, Rachel's involvement intensified. She started asking to keep Sophie more, to have her for weekends, for whole weeks during summer. She'd plan elaborate trips just for the 2 of them. Disneyland, beach vacations, adventure parks. She'd buy Sophie expensive gifts, latest toys, designer clothes, things I couldn't afford on my own. I thought it was nice, thought Rachel was being generous, thought she was compensating for not having children of her own by pouring love into her niece, thought it was healthy, thought I was lucky to have family support, never suspected anything wrong, never saw the warning signs. But Rachel wasn't being generous. She was practicing being a mother, imagining Sophie was hers, building a relationship where Sophie would trust her, would go with her willingly, would believe her over me if she ever needed to. Rachel was grooming my daughter for 2 years, slowly, carefully, building the foundation for what she'd eventually do. The anonymous child PR. Protective Services report started 15 months ago, January 2025. Someone claiming to have seen Sophie alone at home, unsupervised, at risk. CPS investigated, found nothing. I didn't even know about it until the trial. The reports were unsubstantiated, closed immediately, filed away. But Rachel thought they were building a case. She'd filed 5 reports over 9 months, each one describing different incidents, different concerns, different reasons why I was supposedly an unfit mother. All lies, all fabrications, all designed to create a paper trail, to justify what she was planning in her journal, recovered from her apartment. Rachel wrote extensively about her plans, about how she'd save Sophie from being taken by the state, about how she'd be a better mother than I was, about how Sophie deserved better, deserved someone who was home, who didn't work long hours, who could give her undivided attention. Someone like Rachel, someone who wanted nothing more than to be a mother, who'd been denied that role unfairly, who deserved a second chance. Rachel had been planning Sophie's kidnapping for at least 6 months before she did it. The secret room was built in March 2025. During renovations to the Morrison building, Rachel hired a construction crew she trusted, contractors who'd worked with Chen Development for years. She told them it was a safe room for storing valuables, for protecting important documents, for security in case of break-ins or corporate espionage. They built it according to her specifications. Soundproof, climate-controlled, with its own ventilation system connecting to the building's HVAC, with plumbing running from the bathroom above, with electricity tapped from the main panel, with the bookshelf mechanism connected to the fountain pen trigger, a sophisticated security system that required the exact right pen twisted the exact right way to open. Rachel paid them $80,000 cash, made them sign NDAs, told them the project was confidential, sensitive, related to corporate security that couldn't be disclosed. They built it and never questioned why a real estate developer needed a secret underground room. Never reported it, never told anyone, just took the money and moved on to the next project. Rachel bought supplies over months, bedding, clothes in Sophie's size, books appropriate for a 9-year-old, educational materials so Sophie wouldn't fall behind in learning, a tablet loaded with age-appropriate movies and games, no internet connection, no way to communicate with the outside world, just entertainment, just something to pass the time in isolation. She bought food in bulk, non-perishables, things that would last, things a child would eat, crackers, granola bars, juice boxes, canned soup, mac and cheese. She stored it all in the room, prepared for weeks if necessary, prepared to keep Sophie alive even if something happened, even if she couldn't come every day, even if the plan went wrong. She bought medical supplies, RST aid kit, vitamins, pain relievers, thermometer. Everything she'd need to monitor Sophie's health, to keep her alive, to make sure she didn't get sick, to fulfill her delusion that she was being a good mother, that she was caring for Sophie, that this was love, that imprisonment was protection. On September 15, 2025, Rachel executed her plan. She went to Lincoln Elementary at 12:30 p.m. recess time. She'd been there before, picking up Sophie with my permission. The playground monitor knew her, recognized her, trusted her. When Rachel said she was picking Sophie up early for a dentist appointment, nobody questioned it. Sophie went with her willingly, got in Rachel's car, buckled her seatbelt, trusted Aunt Rachel completely. Rachel drove straight to Morrison Building, parked in her private spot in the underground garage, took Sophie through the private entrance to her office. Nobody saw them, nobody questioned it. Rachel was the building owner. She could come and go as she pleased, could bring anyone she wanted, could do anything without suspicion. She took Sophie down to the secret room, told her this was temporary, that Mommy was sick, that I was in the hospital, that the doctors said Sophie couldn't visit, that seeing her would make me worse, that staying here was keeping me safe, that Aunt Rachel would take care of everything, that Sophie just needed to be patient, to be brave, to wait. Sophie believed her. Why wouldn't she? Aunt Rachel had never lied before. Aunt Aiko loved her. Aunt Rachel was family. And Aunt Rachel had pictures. Fake pictures created with photo editing software. Pictures of me in a hospital bed, looking sick, looking fragile, looking like I needed Sophie to stay away. The pictures were convincing, enough to fool a 9-year-old who was scared and confused and desperate to believe Aunt Rachel was telling the truth. For 6 months, Rachel maintained the routine. Every morning before work, 7:30 a.m., down to the secret room, bring breakfast, check Sophie's health, change clothes, empty the portable toilet that served as Sophie's bathroom, bring fresh water, make sure everything was okay, then back upstairs. Start the workday, act normal. Like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't imprisoning a child. Lunch at 12:30 p.m. Again down to the room, bring lunch, ask about Sophie's day, check homework that Rachel had assigned, educational materials to keep Sophie learning, to maintain the illusion that this was temporary, that school would resume, that life would go back to normal eventually, that mommy would get better and Sophie could go home, dinner at 6:30 p.m. after work. Same routine, bring dinner, spend an hour with Sophie, play games, read books, watch a movie together, act like a mother, like this was normal, like bedtime routine in a secret underground room was family time, like Sophie's imprisonment was love. Rachel documented everything, kept logs, made schedules, tracked Sophie's food intake, her sleep patterns, her mood, her health, like a nurse maintaining medical charts, like a scientist conducting an experiment, like a mother keeping baby books. The logs showed Sophie declining slowly, losing weight, becoming withdrawn, asking fewer questions about when mommy would be better, accepting the new reality, giving up hope, and through it all, through 6 months of imprisoning my daughter, Rachel was helping me search, organizing volunteers, funding private investigators, offering rewards, posting on social media, holding me while I cried, telling me Sophie was alive, that we'd find her, that everything would be okay. She was living a complete double life, playing the role of supportive sister while being the kidnapper, the predator, the monster who'd stolen my child. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Rachel pleaded guilty to all charges. Kidnapping first degree, false imprisonment, child endangerment. Her lawyer argued diminished capacity, mental illness, years of trauma from infertility leading to psychotic break, temporary insanity, delusional disorder, every psychiatric defense they could claim. The prosecution brought Dr. Morrison, Rachel's former therapist. She testified about Rachel's declining mental health, about her obsession with motherhood, about her refusal to seek appropriate help, about her escalating fixation on Sophie, about the warning signs that had been visible for years, about how this wasn't sudden, wasn't a break, was a slow build, a progression, a choice Rachel made gradually, over time, with full awareness of what she was doing. They brought the construction crew, the contractors who built the secret room. They testified about Rachel's instructions, about how specific she was, about how she'd planned every detail, about how this wasn't the action of someone in a psychotic state, was the action of someone methodical, calculating, fully aware, fully capable of understanding right and wrong. They brought Sophie, my 9-year-old daughter, to testify about her 6 months of captivity, about what Aunt Rachel told her, about the daily routine, about the pictures of mommy in the hospital, about believing she was being protected, about slowly realizing she was trapped, about the fear, about the isolation, about missing me, about wondering if mommy was ever going to get better. Sophie was so brave, so small on the witness stand, so honest, so heartbreaking. The jury cried, the judge cried, I cried, everyone cried watching my daughter describe 6 months of psychological torture disguised as care, 6 months of a child believing her mother had abandoned her, 6 months of trauma that would take years to heal. The verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Rachel to 20 years federal prison, minimum 12 years before parole eligibility, said this was one of the most disturbing cases she'd presided over, said the level of premeditation and manipulation was extraordinary, said Rachel had betrayed every concept of family, of sisterhood, of humanity. Rachel showed no emotion during sentencing, didn't cry, didn't apologize, just sat there, empty, broken, like the sister I'd known had left completely. Replaced by someone I didn't recognize, someone capable of atrocities, someone who destroyed our family, someone who wasn't my sister anymore. Before they took her away, Rachel looked at me, met my eyes. I loved her. I was saving her. You have to understand. I was trying to be a good mother. I didn't respond, didn't give her the satisfaction, just watched them lead her away, out of the courtroom, out of my life, out of Sophie's life, forever, where she belonged, where monsters go, where people who steal children deserve to be. I didn't feel relief, didn't feel satisfaction, just felt empty. My sister was gone. The person I trusted most in the world had betrayed me in the worst possible way, had stolen my child, had watched me suffer, had pretended to help while hiding what she'd done. I'd lost Sophie for 6 months, and I'd lost Rachel forever. Sophie needed therapy, intensive therapy, to process what happened, to understand that Aunt Rachel had lied, that I'd never been sick, that I'd been looking for her, that I'd never abandoned her, that she was safe now, that nobody would take her away again. It's been 3 months since I found Sophie. 3 months since that fountain pen, since that secret room, since my world changed again. Sophie is healing. Slowly, she's back in school, back with her friends, back in therapy twice a week. She still has nightmares, still worries I'll disappear, still checks to make sure I'm okay, still asks if I'm really not sick. But she's here, she's alive, she's home, that's what matters. We're rebuilding, relearning each other, making new memories, moving forward. It's not perfect, it's not easy, but we're together, and that's enough. I think about Rachel sometimes, about the sister I thought I knew, about how someone can hide darkness so completely, how someone can convince themselves that wrong is right, that kidnapping is protection, that destruction is love, how someone can look you in the eye every day and lie, and lie, and lie. The fountain pen is in evidence, I'll never see it again. Don't want to. It represents everything wrong, everything broken, everything lost. But it also led me to Sophie, led me to the truth, led me to the end of 6 months of hell. So maybe it was meant to be there. Maybe I was meant to find it. Maybe some things are destined. Sophie asks about Rachel sometimes, wants to know why she did it, why she lied, why she kept her locked up. I don't have good answers. Don't think there are good answers. Mental illness doesn't excuse kidnapping. Infertility doesn't justify stealing someone's child. Love doesn't mean imprisonment. I tell Sophie that Aunt Rachel was sick, that she made bad choices, that she hurt us, and that she's gone now, that she can't hurt us anymore. I sold the marketing executive story, quit my job, started freelancing, flexible hours, working from home, being available for Sophie, for therapy appointments, for school events, for every moment she needs me. Money is tighter, career is stalled, but Sophie is here, and that's worth everything, worth more than success, worth more than achievement, worth more than anything I could possibly earn. We moved. Couldn't stay in the old apartment. Too many memories, too many reminders of the 6 months Sophie wasn't there, of the empty bedroom, of the silence, of the grief. We found a new place, smaller, cozier, closer to Sophie's school. Fresh start, new beginning, place where Sophie was never missing, where we're just a family, just mom and daughter, just us. My name is Catherine Chen. I'm 38 years old. I stopped by my sister's office to surprise her. I found a fountain pen engraved with my missing daughter's name. I picked it up. Something clicked. The wall slid open. And I found my daughter alive after 6 months of thinking she was dead. My sister stole my child, hid her in a secret room, convinced her I was sick, watched me search, pretended to help, lived a double life, for 6 months, until a fountain pen and a hidden door revealed the truth. Until I took my daughter back. Until justice was served, until Rachel went to prison, until our nightmare ended. Sophie is safe now, we're healing now, we're together now. The 6 months of hell are over, the searching is done, the questions are answered. The truth is out, and we're moving forward. One day at a time, one therapy session at a time, one nightmare at a time, until the bad dreams stop, until Sophie feels safe, until we're okay again. I don't know if we'll ever be the same. 6 months changed us, transformed us, made us different people than we were before Sophie disappeared. Before I found that pen, before the wall slid open, before everything I thought I knew about my sister shattered. But we survived. We're here. We're alive. We're fighting. We're healing. Together. One day at a time. One nightmare at a time. One therapy session at a time. Because that's all that matters now. Not the sister who betrayed me in ways I'm still processing. Not the 6 months of absolute hell I endured. Not the secret room or the elaborate lies. Just Sophie and me. Together. Safe. Home. Where we've always belonged. The fountain pen unlocked the truth. And sometimes the truth is the most horrifying thing you can discover. But it also brings you home, brings you closure, brings you the daughter you thought was lost forever, brings you back to life. I'm Catherine Chen, and I found my daughter behind a hidden wall in my sister's office, and I'm never letting her go again. Never.